conservatives, and I use that term rather loosely or liberally as I say this next part, have spoken. Quite a few of them have actually given speeches at Turning Point USA Student Action Summit, SAS. Videos over on X have gone relatively viral, especially one particular clip from the likes of, you guessed it, Tucker Carlson. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, what was said from Tucker Carlson that made him go incredibly viral once again? Well, this whole Jeffrey Epstein nonsense that has been going on for quite some time. And when I say nonsense, I'm talking about the nonsense of how the US government seemingly loves to lie continuously. And Trump recently had an outburst of the media because we were still talking about Jeffrey Epstein as a creep and how Pam Bondi's not really doing her job and how Jeffrey Epstein did in fact end his own life and there is no client list. I smell bullcrap. I really do. And so should you guys if you're looking at this story and going, well, a lot of things don't add up with the story, right? So because of that, loads of individuals, especially the conservative branch, like the bad faith individuals, I'm now calling them, especially the likes of Tucker Carlson, seem to want to blame Mossad or seem to want to blame Israel. So Jeffrey Epstein, albeit American, he wasn't actually working for the CIA to run a blackmail operation. No, that wasn't it. He was being used by Israel. And so the reason why we can't have the client list is because of Israel. Honestly, this entire topic, right? And people they pitted the killing of JFK to Mossad. It was apparently all Mossad's fault. Let's look at that. No, it was the CIA. We already know that the CIA ended JFK's life. That is fact. But nevertheless, this particular story with Jeffrey Epstein seems to get really out of hand, doesn't it? So loads of people love to just blame Israel for everything. It is the biggest intellectually flawed argument of the lot I have noticed in recent times. If you just want to continuously blame Israel, this small nation, what are they going to do with, Jeffrey Epstein blackmailing a lot of millionaires and billionaires that happen to be, a lot of them, American? Now, in saying that, what is Israel going to do? Have you seen Israel use or, in any kind of way? And some people will go, oh, what about America striking the nuclear bunker? No, Trump is not being used at all by Israel. It seems like the other way around. Trump is using Israel to bring about peace. And if you're going, oh, the Jews are responsible for Jeffrey Epstein blackmailing all these millionaires and billionaires, why don't they just release it? Okay, if you want to destroy America, if you want to control America, release all of the footage, release the names. But I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think there's a bigger case here than meets the eye. And I think if you were to release all the names, you would disrupt the American economy. And I say go for it. I think we need a shake-up. I think we need a massive, massive shake-up. And I think we need accountability because this is one of the most vile humans on the face of the earth, or was one of the most vile humans on the face of the earth, doing really horrible things to innocent kids. And what about the victims, right, that were trafficked by Ghislaine Maxwell? What's she doing in prison, by the way? It's like, to me, they're going, well, the evidence looks very clear to me that it happens to be Mossad. It's got to be Mossad. Right. Why? We don't have any evidence that it's Mossad, but anyway, we'll allude to that fact. Smoke and mirrors. Why are you saying Israel? Why are you saying Mossad? Why has Israel got a higher stake in destroying America than, say, like Iran or some other intelligent agency? Why has it got to be Mossad? Oh, apparently Mossad is more powerful than the CIA. Apparently. So anyway, let's get on to Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson decided to pretty much give his reasons as to why Jeffrey Epstein, the client list, and all that other stuff won't be released. Have a watch.
Not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave, you're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of a foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not? And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry, when it's not. It's a baseline question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing.
There is something wrong with saying something like, oh, Jeffrey Epstein was working for Mossad and Mossad was using him to run a PDF file blackmail ring using lots of American billionaires and goodness knows who else. There is something wrong with libel defamation claims when you have absolutely no proof whatsoever. See how Tucker Carlson just tries to reshape the language? Oh, it's not wrong. It's not harmful at all to say that it's Israel, to say that it was Mossad. Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of a foreign government. We won't talk about the other foreign governments he could have possibly been working for. He could have been working for all of them for all we know. We don't know. But the fact is, he always, and loads of people seem to do this, and you saw the audience just like cheering and clap after he said Israel. The narrative is shifting. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Turning Point USA has changed quite considerably in recent times. They've gone from, all right, we actually want true conservatives, to now platforming people that used to be on the Democratic side, had a change of viewpoint all of a sudden, and now they're welcomed with open arms. Okay, why don't you just, they're given a major platform too to spout a lot of this stuff. Tucker, I know he's tried to be relatively consistent over time, but honestly, what are you trying to do with this kind of information? Oh, the reason why we can't see the Jeffrey Epstein client list is because we're protecting Israel. Why would the US government, okay, if it is Israel's fault and this is really despicable behavior, why are we protecting Israel for? Oh, Jay, they're our allies. Okay, fair enough. That's fantastic. I agree, they're our allies, but shouldn't it be in the best interest of the American and Israeli government to expose who is actually corrupt? Wouldn't that make more sense? Get rid of the corrupt individuals in both governments, if that is the case. Oh, but maybe that's just me thinking that. But no, we can't possibly do that, Jay. We'll just blame Israel. Israel's at fault for everything. They're the big bad guy here. Oh, goodness me. It's just like, it's so intellectually dishonest. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing this narrative. Everything just seems to point back to Israel. And you go, Jay, you're probably not thinking about this deeply enough. No, I think that I am. And I think that the vast majority of research that I'm doing, it can't possibly all link back to Israel. It's like saying there's one giant cabal that's controlling everything. And we all go, well, who? Who is part of that cabal? It's like, okay, well, Netanyahu's probably, how do you know that? Oh, well, we don't have any proof of it. Then why the hell say it? It's just giving Israel a very bad name, but yet you won't talk negatively about Iran or about Syria or about any of the other countries that you could consider them to be a threat to not only Israel, but the US. What is wrong with you? You got to be in your bonnet against actually America's ally in that region. To me, that's a problem. To me, that's concerning. Loads of people are going, prove it, Tucker Carlson. Lay out your proof publicly. And it's not just Tucker that has been saying this, by the way. Even Megyn Kelly is going, well, I know I can't prove it, but it looks like from my own research, it looks like he was probably Mossad. And they got to him in prison. You know what a conspiracy theorist is? Now, understandably, there's a lot to this story that meets the eye, guaranteed about that. But you mean to tell me that Mossad is more powerful than the CIA? Interesting, that. What are you actually admitting? The insurrection Barbie goes, it's cute how people think Mossad is more powerful than our CIA, or more powerful than the FSB, or more powerful than MI6. Strange, the allegations that Epstein was Mossad first appeared in 2019 after he died. Even stranger, one of the people who helped make that claim a thing was a witness in Trump's 2024 hush money trial. I'm not saying Epstein wasn't CIA, but it's funny how people don't actually take the time to do any research before making these statements. Really makes me question why. Was Epstein handled badly? Hell yes. Was he a CIA asset? Well, most likely, in my opinion. Do we have legitimate questions we deserve answered? Yes. Is this whole fake narrative that Trump is owned by Israel being spread by people with malicious intent? Yeah. Ask yourself why. It brings me back to what Douglas Murray was saying. What are you feeding and why? What is the whole purpose of this? If you don't have undeniable concrete evidence, why say this? It's like saying that Churchill was the chief bad guy in World War II, even though we know he wasn't. It's the same thing. The principle is the same, right? Oh, look over here. No, Hitler was the good guy in World War II. He wanted peace, but Churchill stopped it. Right, okay. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Epstein, he got all his money from a foreign government, and that foreign government allowed Epstein to have his own island, and then they allowed Epstein to go down, and they just ended his life, apparently. It's just, to me, I understand there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. I get that. I'm not happy about how it was handled. I want accountability, and I want the truth. But me going around and saying, oh, it was Israel, that's where it all links to. How do you know that? You don't. So stop saying it. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care of your bless, and I'll see you all in the next video.